Hello, all you fabulous females out there. This is Louise Fennell coming to you from mmtv, and my guests today are Shelby Doyle and Mary Caddle.
Yes.
Is that the way I pronounce it?
Yeah, Caddle, that's right.
Okay, great. Okay, and we're going to talk about what I think should be a really interesting topic today on City Hall, and also one of the campaigns that these two lovely women are working on. So first of all, I would like to know what your position is at City Hall. Or do you work at City Hall, or are you is that kind of an accessory to what you do?
So neither of us work at City Hall. We're actually volunteers, and we don't have any formal affiliation with the city or anything like that. We're just really interested in what happens at City Hall and around town.
Okay, great.
That's right. I would classify us as active citizens.
Beautiful.
Active moms, active neighbors.
Great.
Yeah.
That's what we need. We needed a lot more of you. Okay, and you had mentioned something called Yes for Melrose campaign. What is that?
Yes. So Yes for Melrose is a non-partisan campaign to support a tax override to fully fund the city budget for Melrose.
Okay.
Yes, and so it's all run by volunteers, and as Shelby said, we hope to be a nonpartisan, multi-generational group where we want as many people as possible to be involved and get educated about the issues around city funding.
Okay, and how would people get involved?
Well, the easiest way is if they go to our website, which is yesformelrose.org, but we also are going to be out and about. We're out knocking on doors, we're out standing around. Shelby has all of the enthusiasm for talking to folks on the street, so we're going to just try to meet as many residents as we can in as many places as we can.
Okay. And are you going to ask people for their concerns about what's going on in Melrose? I'm a little conflicted about the actually summit because I don't have a whole lot of money, but as far as the override goes, 1 minute I'm thinking sounds like a good idea, and then I'm thinking, but my daughter owns a house and her taxes are high, and so maybe I don't want, and so there's ask me today, I might say one thing and say something else tomorrow. After I talk on the phone with the daughter, I might say something different. I'm not really sure, actually.
I think that's where a lot of our neighbors are. I mean, the truth is that things are very expensive right now. Inflation is high. I don't know many of my friends that have a ton of money lying around extra at the end of the month. But there's also the truth that there are certain things that we do together as a city, like schools, like public roads, sidewalks, waste removal, snow removal, library services, city yards and senior services that we only can do together. I don't know about you, but I don't have enough money at the end of any month to pay for the library.
Yeah.
I know. I wouldn't want to add up how much I have saved by using the library.
Yeah, I know. I have a couple of concerns, which I'll mention to you.
Of course.
Is the, I'm using a rollator now. And I live in the Cochrane House, and so I go through the pathway behind the eastern bank, and with a rollator, you're walking along, and all of a sudden you hit a pothole, and it's really kind of treacherous.
Yeah.
The potholes have been filled recently, and that's a great thing, but that doesn't last.
No, and I think you really hit on something tough, is that none of us want to cause people to spend beyond their means or anything like that, and we worry about that for sure. But we also know that these are services that benefit everybody as well, and sometimes benefit the people who need them the most. I think the way that I think about it sometimes that is maybe different than how other people are thinking about it is I don't think of the costs of running the city as being necessarily separate from my household expenses. Like, so even it's not like the city is something separate from myself where they're spending money on things unrelated to me. Every element of what they're spending money on is something that's part of who we are as a community.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, and I think what you brought up, Louise, I mean, we actually met on the sidewalk.
Right, yes.
One of the things I love about Melrose, one of the reasons I chose to move here when my family decided to add kids into the mix, is we wanted to be somewhere that was good for kids to grow up, but also somewhere good to grow old. And I think the fact that Melrose is very walkable, has a lot of beautiful, well-kept public spaces, makes it a place where me, someone who's from Central Florida, could run into you, someone who's from Massachusetts, very different generations, and we could have a conversation, right? That's the kind of community I want my young girls to grow up in, fabulous females in the making. And, you know, I think the more that we feel that our public spaces aren't well kept, if they're not safe for getting around safely, especially in the winter, or if we feel that they're not safe from a public safety and police presence standpoint. There's so many aspects that go into the city budget that protect not just my little home, but as Mary said, the extension of my home and community, which is Melrose.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. Yeah. I've been here about a little over 20 years. And I find that it's really a great place to, well, just go out for a walk and bump into somebody and get into a conversation. And it happens to me a lot, you know. Of course, having the rollator sort of gets you into conversations with people, you know. Most people are like, oh, can I help you? Or, you know, like if I'm waiting at a corner, somebody today, you know, said, can I help you? Or, you know, do you need some help getting across the street? Or, you know, and everybody's like that. Going into a store, somebody will run and open the door or that kind of thing. And people walk with their dogs and stop and, you know, dogs and babies are great for getting into conversations with people.
They
you
are.
know.
And sometimes it feels like when you're walking around town, you aren't used to seeing. I wasn't used before I moved to Melrose. I wasn't used to seeing so many people on the street just walking around, and that was one of the main reasons, possibly the main reason we moved here, is because I wanted to be able to walk someplace. I wanted my kids to walk to school. I wanted to walk downtown. I wanted to walk to the library and the post office and all of these things that are part of what makes Melrose such a lovely place, but also in some ways a unique place. There's not that many towns anymore where you really have that.
Right, exactly. I know it. Yeah. So how, if somebody wanted to, say me, for instance, wanted to try to do something, how do you go about getting in touch with City Hall or getting into some committee or
Well, I
something
can
like that?
tell you as an outsider, because I'll say I only moved to Melrose in 2020. I was not involved in any previous version of any campaign in Melrose. But what happened is somebody at my bar and soul yoga class got to talking to me about women's hockey and about kids in schools and said to me, hey, do you know what's going on with the school budget? And I said, oh, you know, I did see an email about that.
Yeah.
And they told me about what's going on. So we would say, first and foremost, for those that are paying attention, talk to the people you already know. Talk to the people in your community, in your housing facility, or in your bunco group or your book club, wherever you are already. Talk to people just to say, do you know what's going on with the city budget? I'm concerned. And I think as a second step, we would definitely encourage you to get involved with the campaign. They've been great in keeping people informed through email. Like myself, I've never been to a city hall meeting, but just last night they alerted me, hey, did you guys know that they're going to be open for public comment related to putting an override question on the ballot? And I said, I didn't know that was something I could go use my voice for.
And how about for people who can't get physically get to the meetings, are there Zoom?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
so
for the public meetings that are run through City Hall, there are Zoom options. For anyone who is interested in just learning more about the campaign, which again, like, so we're separate from City Hall. We're sort of advocating as volunteers, as an independent group.
Right.
But we would be happy to have a conversation with anyone, anytime, if they can send us an email, or we don't have a phone number, but maybe that's something that we could work on.
Could you tell people your email?
Yes, it is info, INFO, at Yes for Melrose, so YESFOR, melrose.org, O-R-G. And so we're happy to get emails anytime. And I think, to Shelby's point, having those conversations is where we want to be. We don't want to be, pushing people or scolding people. That's not what we're about. We're about listening to what people have to say and encouraging people to start those conversations. I think sometimes people think they have to be an expert or have to know what their position is before they start to talk.
Right.
But sometimes the way we learn things is by having the conversation in the first place.
Yeah. Good. I have another concern, and this is kind of personal to me, but actually I found in talking to people in my building that I'm not the only one concerned about trains, actually. Now, I don't know whether the commuter rail, the platform at the commuter rail is the thing concerning me. I can't get my leg high enough to get up onto the step of the train. And for a while I thought, well, I can't expect the city to put money into something when I'm probably the only one who's having that problem. But then when I talk to people in my building, I find out I'm not the only one who's having that problem. But is that a city thing, or is it the MTA?
I think it's the MBTA. I think that the train platforms are part of that state-run system. But that's the kind of thing that, if anybody has questions like that, we're happy to help find answers.
I just want to echo Mary's point. I'm not an expert either, but to hear what you're saying, I never would have learned that about you had we not stopped on the street and got to talking. And it turns out, I'm sure people listening to this that are older would say, oh, that's me too. But you know who else would say that? Me with a stroller trying to get into the city to access services. Different medical specialties are in the city for my kids. I have to take the train. Or even kids that just have a harder time focusing and keeping their bodies safe, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
This is not just a one person issue. And I think by having more community conversations, regardless of what happens in November with this override, we want to be a community that is multi-generational, that is a great place to grow up and grow old. And so I'm glad I learned that about you. I would love to keep talking about it. We should talk about it together. And this is another example of like what I heard when I was canvassing 2 weeks ago. I talked to a mother whose kids are almost done with school. So they've been in Melrose a long time. They are, of course, concerned about the school budgets, but maybe not as affected. But they do want to give back to the community. But they're also concerned about their senior neighbors, wanting to be sure that they're not taxed out of the neighborhood.
Right.
And we want to hear those kinds of concerns in the community and help come up with answers. I know the campaign, in response to those questions, has already put on the website information about tax relief for folks that are on fixed income and can't afford it. I'm not an expert, but again, together we can take care of everyone's concerns. I believe that's the kind of town I want to live in.
Great. And Mary has already said people could email her. How about you? Can people email you?
Absolutely. The info at Yes for Melrose is sort of our central email. And I have been amazed at if I can be so bold as to say, more veteran moms and community members than myself who have been around a little longer at this community organizing. This is all volunteers, just using their own time and skills, but these are amazing people. They are well organized, communicative. If there's a question specifically for me or for Mary, it will find us.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I should say, and I should have said this at the start, we have so many awesome volunteers and awesome people.
Oh,
and these
good.
are all people who are just giving their time because this is something that they want to do, that they believe in for Melrose. So as Shelby said, that's a central email. And if there's a question for a specific person or something where it's like, oh, you know what, I bet Shelby would be great to answer that, then we sort of funnel things out that way.
Okay. Time's almost up. So is there something that I did not think to ask you that you would like to talk about for a second? If there's not, that's fine.
I guess the thing that I want to, we already talked about this, but I really want to reiterate, the more that we can talk to each other in person, the better.
Right.
Because that's where the connections happen, and that's where we start to understand what all the different needs are. Because it's not, my needs against your needs. It's working together so that everybody can get their needs met in the way that is helpful for more people.
And I would just add to that to say, and I think that really is the ethos behind the campaign as it's forming so far. I've met, again, folks that are older than me that have been in Melrose a long time. People have been here since the 60s that, we do have different needs based on where we are in our lives. But I think we all are coming together knowing that we want to be able to meet everyone's needs and not be in a zero-sum game. And I think until we can fix this budgeting crisis, that's where we'll be. So that would be my hope to people, is that they can have conversations, have open ears, but also know that to get out of a zero-sum game, we're going to have to do this together.
Okay. And would each of you repeat your email? You could do yours first, because I know when I'm listening to something, I don't always get it the first time somebody says it. So how about if you give people your email again, and then
I'll give the email and you give the website. Is that good?
That's
Okay.
perfect.
So the email address is info@yes, for Melrose.org, O-R-G.
Thanks, Shelby. And the website's really similar. It's yesformelrose.org. So it's YESFOR Melrose.org, O-R-G.
okay,
And
great.
we're happy. And if you only caught one of those, we will help you find the other one.
Okay, terrific. That's great. Okay, thanks a lot. And for all of you out there who've been listening, I hope that you've learned as much as I did today, and that you'll maybe take some action. This is Louise Fennell from mmtv, and I'm wishing all of you fabulous females out there a wonderful rest of the day. Bye.